Good morning, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to New Church Online. Always good to be together. Man, it's Thanksgiving week, which is crazy. I can't believe it. Super bummed that we're not having Friendsgiving this year. Historically, that's a time where our church family gathers around one really long table and just shares food and conversation and life and gratitude. And we hope to get that back in the future. But in lieu of that, we are donating 100 meals to the Ventura County Rescue Mission. So excited to partner with them. We also had our Operation Christmas Child boxes on their way. They're leaving Camarillo tomorrow. I think they go to LA and then out into the world. So not too late, last minute if you want to jump in on that. Otherwise, thank you for those who participated. We also have our child sponsor down in Mexico that we're collecting gifts for his Christmas, Camilo. So you can find information on that in the newsletter or on the app. There are still some gifts available. And while some of them are toys, other gifts are things like socks and blankets, things that they really do need down there. So don't miss that opportunity to give and be generous. We'll be shipping that off early December together down to the Children's Village down in Baja. Let's see what else we got. Well, we're off next weekend live. So we will not have a live church service next Sunday. We'll have a online service. But that's just to give our team a break. People are gathering different ways for Thanksgiving and yeah, we just think it's a good weekend to take off. Full disclosure for me and our family, we're planning to travel back east for Thanksgiving, which was a lot less complicated when I bought the tickets like 2 months ago. And I don't take traveling lightly. I'm well aware of the CDC and the guidelines that are going on, and we're paying attention to those things. And who knows, we may not even get off the ground. But the backstory, before you want to throw stones, was that 2019 was a year of really unprecedented loss for me personally and in our family. And I know most of you know this and you're on the journey and very supportive of it. If you haven't heard, you hadn't heard this story, my dad basically came out of a coma in 2019. Shortly thereafter, my mom went into the hospital and she never came out. She passed away early in the year. And then my brother, right about a year ago, yesterday, passed away out of nowhere as a result of some prescription medicine. So really just insane year for us in 2019. And we've just been dying to get back together, but that's a poor choice of words. We've been longing to get back together and sort of somehow regroup in a way that wasn't a hospital, that wasn't a memorial service, that wasn't a really sad mourning time. And our family just felt like we need that. And Thanksgiving at one point presented a window. And again, I thought it would be a little simpler than it is right now. And if I thought it'd be better in a month, I would wait. And I'd be happy to. But I'm not even feeling 2021. I'm already skeptical of 2021. So I don't know. We're moving forward, and we will quarantine and be safe and sort of take our time. And we're going to test when we get there and when we get back. I'm actually taking off preaching from the following Sunday after I get back, just to avoid hanging out and doing that thing with everybody, just out of precaution. But I wanted you to know, and just to be praying for us for travel, and honestly a healing time as we get together. Really for the first time, my brothers and I and my dad in about a year. So it's been a really hard time to be apart, and we're just hoping for the best as we get back together. So there's that. What else we have? Let's talk about the sermon. We're in 1 Peter. Title of today's sermon is Please Move On. Please move on. Some of you like, oh no, what's he going to talk about? Please move on. You already kind of know. Recap on 1 Peter. This is written around 62 AD by a guy named Peter, one of Jesus' most loyal and faithful and radical followers. This is a letter of suffering and holiness and identity and pressure to conform, because we have all these Christian churches exiled out into the Roman provinces. This is modern day Turkey, and they're living in really hostile environments. The temperatures coming up around them as far as how they're treated, physically abused and martyred and persecuted. There's just being cut off socially and economically. It's a hard time for the church, and Peter is encouraging the church, saying, hey, you can do this. You can stand strong. Be holy, be faithful. It's still going to be hard, but be faithful. There is a reward on the other side. So we're going to go through chapter 2 a little bit. Not going to read everything. Feel free on your own time. But we're going to pick up in verse 4. You can follow previous messages online if you want to catch up from the past couple weeks on 1 Peter chapter 1. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 4. You are coming to Christ, who is a living cornerstone of God's temple. He was rejected by people, but he was chosen by God for great honor. And you are living stones that God is building into his spiritual temple. What's more, you are holy priests. Through the mediation of Jesus Christ, you offer spiritual sacrifices that please God. So, another way of saying this is you come to the living stone. This is Jesus. As you come to Jesus, rejected by humans, but chosen by God and precious to him, you also, like living stones, are being built into spiritual houses to be a holy priesthood offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus. This is the part that Peter's encouraging them. It's a little bit of a pep talk. This is like, it doesn't matter what others think. It does not matter what others think. Jesus was rejected by humans, but chosen by God and precious to him. You, like Jesus, are chosen by God and precious to him. Right? Jesus was rejected by people, but chosen and precious to God. You may be rejected by people, but you are chosen and precious to God. It does not matter what others think about you. What matters is how God feels about you. What matters is how God feels about you. And this is such a basic message, but it's so foundational to what we believe. And this is what's so important to Peter. It's so foundational to what we believe and so informative to how we behave. If you believe this, that you are chosen and precious, it will inform the way you behave. He's saying, in a sense, as God speaking to the people through Peter, hey, people didn't like Jesus either, but man, I love him so much. People mistreated Jesus too, but I am so proud of him and who he is. And I'm proud of you too. I chose you as my daughter. I chose you as my son. And nothing or no one can change that. And some of us need to please move on from seeking validation from other people, from being obsessed with validation from other people. Please move on. Please move on from trying to keep up with everyone else so they think you're cool. Please move on to devoting your life to gaining the praise of others. Please move on from trying to be successful in the eyes of other people. Relax. If your security is rooted in the right place, your identity will be in the right place. And what others think of you will come and go, but God's love for you is forever. His love for you is forever. He goes on to talk about people who stumble because they disobey this message. This is verse 9. But, so there are people who stumble, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but now you are a people of God. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. This chosen special possession ideas, it's borrowed from Exodus 19. Peter's referencing the Old Testament, Exodus 19 and Malachi 3, where this Hebrew word is segulah. And segulah is treasured possession. It's a treasured possession. And it's found only 8 times in the Hebrew Bible. And it's used to refer to a royal treasure of gold and silver, of the highest value, gold and silver. And most of the time it's used in reference now to God's people. Treasured possession, gold, silver, the storehouses of the kingdom. That's the treasured possession. You are the treasured possession. And what makes God's people special is that they belong to God. What makes God's people special is that they belong to God. What makes you special is that you belong to God. Right? Think about this terms. That's why it's exciting when you're at a baseball game and a player throws you a ball. Like, it's just the ball. You can go buy the ball, but it's special because where it came from. It was owned. It was the possession of the baseball player or the team. This is a real Dodgers baseball. It's the same ball as the other ball you can buy. But what makes it special? Whose it was. That's the treasure. These are items in museums, and you go to a museum and it's like, it's just a pen, but it belonged to Lincoln, so it's more than a pen. It's a treasure. That old pen is a treasure because Abraham Lincoln possessed it. We are that. We are those items. Ordinary yet extraordinary because of who we belong to. You are extraordinary because of who you belong to. And knowing who we are informs how we are. This is Peter's message. He's setting up these building blocks, this theological foundations. You have to believe who you are. That will inform how you are. How you are, how you label yourself. And there's a psychology to this. We referenced it last week briefly. How we label ourselves. Right? If I call myself a runner, I will more likely live up to that. This is just real stuff that this applies to everyone. Right? We live into the labels that we label ourselves with. If I call myself a runner, I'm going to live up to it. If I call myself a writer, I may step in and I'll be a writer. For a time, I found it difficult even to call myself a pastor. And I'm like, why is that? Why? And like, part of it's insecurity. It's like, I don't know if I'm really a pastor. Like, part of it's comparison. Like, wow, look at those guys. Because when I looked around at other pastors, and we all do this, maybe not other pastors, but we all do this at people kind of in our field. I looked around at other pastors and how they presented themselves. And I thought, man, I don't think I could do that. I am not like those guys. I am not like those guys. Nothing against those guys. I love those guys, but I'm like, I'm not like those guys. I'm processing with a friend years ago, and he said, man, you're not like those guys, but you are one of those guys. You're not like those guys, but you are one of those guys. When I interact with people who are aspiring to work in the movie industry or TV, Hollywood as actors, and if you've ever had these conversations, sometimes they're kind of shy about it. They're kind of shy about, well, I'm kind of working on some stuff. Like, are you an actor? Yes, you're an actor. Call yourself an actor. If you act and are trying to act, you're an actor. Call yourself an actor. And I do that because I'm a pastor and I'm an encourager. And I love seeing people become who they're meant to become. Not kind of like, oh, well, I'm trying to get some work. Oh, do you act? Yeah, you're an actor. Just live into it. You are a treasured possession. Say it. I am a treasured possession. I am a treasure. You are a treasure. I am a treasure. I am a treasure. Just say it. I am a treasure. Do you believe it? Do you believe you're a treasure? And you don't have to look like the other treasures. In fact, it's better that you don't. And they don't have to look like you. So please move on from putting yourself down. Please move on from saying you're not enough. Please move on from looking at yourself like you're a piece of trash. You are not trash. You are treasure because of who you belong to. And here's the thing, Peter's writing, like when you're not a people, when you're not in that category, you don't even know that you're not. He said, hey, listen, you are people of God now. Before you didn't even know. You thought you were fine, but you weren't fine. It's like when you thought you were cool and then you look back at pictures like, oh boy, I guess I wasn't cool. My brothers are massive critics of me. I had four brothers. There was five of us. There's four of us, and they're all basically the same. But we're texting the other day, and one of my brothers brings up, "Oh, remember when Jess wore capris to North Carolina on that trip?" And I'm like, What? I wore capris? I'm like, what? It's like, I don't remember that at all. But apparently like 20 years ago, I wore some kind of hiked up pant on a family trip to Carolina, which did not go over well with my brothers nor the people of North Carolina. And I didn't wear those pants to look like an idiot. I didn't wear those pants to be made fun of 20 years later. I wore them, why? Because I thought they were cool. Like, they weren't cool. Like, if God could be candid with us in some ways, he might say, hey, you weren't actually very cool before, but now you're cool because you're with me. Some people make you cooler. God's that guy. Because you're with me. And Peter wants to encourage his people, his church, like, remember, you're part of God's crew. That's who you are. Live into that. Right? Many of us had that revelation with God in our spirituality. And you thought, man, I'm good to go. For years, you thought, I'm good to go. And then at some point, you have an encounter with the divine, and you're like, oh, shoot, I wasn't good to go. I think I kind of need that guy. That's my story. I thought it was fine. 18 years. I think I'm good. I can figure it out. And then like, oh, shoot, I'm better with that guy. Verse 13. Submit yourselves for the Lord's sake to every human authority, whether the emperor as the supreme authority or to the governors who are sent by him to punish those who do wrong and to commend those who do right. For it is God's will that by doing so you should silence the ignorant talk of foolish people, verse 17, show proper respect to everyone. Love the family of believers. Fear God. Honor the emperor. Here's the deal with this part. Don't make things harder than they already are. He's writing to people in a difficult situation. He said, don't make things harder on yourselves than they already are. Like, listen to this. Talk about a value statement. Show proper respect to everyone. Love the family of believers. Fear God. Honor the emperor. Honor the emperor. We show respect to everyone. Love the family of believers. Fear God. Honor the emperor. Some of us need to move on, to please move on from complicating your life with unnecessary conflict. You need to do that. Please move on from complicating your life with unnecessary conflict. And I don't care if you're an Enneagram 8. You need to settle down. Respect everyone. Love the family of God. Fear God. Honor the emperor. It's already hard enough. Don't make it worse. Have grace for those you don't understand. Forgive those who have hurt you. And love those who surround you. Right? Take inventory. Some of us need to sit down. Take inventory of the areas of tension and unrest in your life and see if you can let go and please move on. And please move on. And this is not forgive and forget. Forgive and forget is a nice idea, but that's not what we're called to. This is forgive what you cannot forget. Forgive what you cannot forget. And it may sound impossible. It may seem impossible to move on from some of these things, to forgive what you cannot forget, but it is not impossible. It is possible because you are a treasured possession of God, and He will be with you. God, thanks for this morning, for who you are. Thank you for your story. I just pray that those who need to hear this would be encouraged to please move on. You know you've been living in a place that is unhealthy. You've been holding on to things that are unhealthy. You've been thinking things that are unhealthy. You're in relationships that are unhealthy. Please move on. You can do it. You can do it. Thank you, God, for your grace, for your story. Thank you for Thanksgiving, God. It's going to be a little different, but we thank you for this time of year that we can just stop and pause and have our hearts filled with gratitude. So, yeah, amen. All right, good to see you guys. Don't forget your kids. We'll see you soon. Peace.